NSJT, no secrets, just truth. Jezreel, Emil, come on. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to let your mind go blank. I want you to think about the time in your life where you wished with all your heart for something. I want you to think about that promise, the promise that changed and defined your life when it was broken. I want you to think about that moment, because in that moment you were waiting on someone to deliver something to you. You were waiting for something to happen in your life. It was a transforming moment. It was an evolving moment. It was a moving moment. It was something that you can touch. It was something that you can feel. I want you to remember that. When I say that we are waiting, I mean that we are in the process of getting ready to transform, getting ready to evolve, getting ready to move in a direction. That promise that was broken is like so many other promises, but this one particular promise is a promise that should not have been broken. It was a promise that you was waiting on. It was a hope. It was a dream that you wanted to come to fruition, that you wanted it to be reality, but it was destined for it not to happen. As I will put it, somebody showed up late. Somebody was off the job. Somebody was in the bar getting a swig. Somebody was too busy partying and clubbing. Somebody was too busy doing something else other than what they will of God asked them to do. Now people mourn, cry, and moan when certain things happen. But you cannot cry, moan, and mourn your way into the gates of heaven. You have to begin to do the work that you were tasked with. Each one of us has a gift. Each one of us is meant to do something. Each one of us is meant to change a life. We can't stay in a holding pattern forever. We can't stay waiting forever. I say that we're waiting on Superman. We're waiting on somebody who can leap in a single bound buildings. We're waiting on somebody who can fly and soar in. We're waiting on that person to be able to move from situation to situation, transform and destroy our enemies. And I'm telling you, that Superman that you're waiting on is the Spirit of the Lord. You're waiting on God. See, after you get over your father's mentality, your mother's mentality, your brother's mentality, your sister's mentality, the mentality of society, once you get done dealing with all of that and you say to yourself that you're done, you're ready to give up, that's when you meet the Spirit of the Lord and begin to believe in heroes, begin to believe in action figures, actually doing what they were meant to do. Action. With every deed that we do, with everything that we say, we sow a seed waiting for it to blossom and bloom. When you tell somebody that you love them, it gives them this sense of warmth and tingling all over. It begins to blossom into something more. They begin to feel what you feel. They begin to move as you move. They begin to like what you like. Come on now, I want you to think back to that one time in your life when you were let down. I want you to know what that feels like, because there are so many of us out here in this world waiting on someone to be our blessing, waiting on someone to deliver us from our bondage, waiting on someone to give us the strength to go on. And as I said before, my 9-month-old goddaughter who passed away became the inspiration of Superman for me, because she was going through so much pain, so much the destruction of her body. Her body was literally shutting down. It was dying. Necrosis was setting in. Necrosis is when the cell dies. She had a rare form of pneumonia. She was slowly dying for days, and we didn't even know it. And she died in her mother's arms. And all I could think about was she was born, and they told her she probably wouldn't make it to 2 years old. She was blind, but yet she was laughing and giggling all the time, hands in the air, waving, playing with something. And I knew she was playing with the angels. I knew the angels was with her. She reaffirmed what a superhero was to me. She wasn't waiting on anything. She was doing what her purpose was. She was fulfilling her own prophecy. She brought joy to the lives that she touched. She transformed their lives even in their death. She transformed me, someone who rarely opens his heart to anyone. I opened my heart to her. She gave me peace, stability, and faith. And in her death, she left me with the torch to carry forward the message that we need to stop waiting, that we need to start acting. We need to start wearing smiles upon our faces, because our lives are not that bad. That there are people in the world that have far worse situations that they're making do with. There's children that's homeless. There's children that's being abused. There's women who are being abused and raped. There is stories out there that are unimaginable that can happen in this world, that has happened. All because we are waiting. We're waiting for that dare to be great moment. We're waiting on some big magic wall that spells out to us that it's time for us to move. Well, we should know automatically it's time for us to move. We should not be waiting on our sisters or our brothers or our mothers or our fathers or our neighbors or anybody to do what God asked us to do. We should be doing it now. We shouldn't wait till crisis happen to begin praying. We should be praying now. We should be moving forward now. She became the cause of my life. See, before she got real sick, I was supposed to having a dream job, going to Hawaii. I was so close to being where I wanted to be, but the Lord told me, no, son, this ain't about to happen for you, son. I got something bigger and better for you to do. I returned home, and she had to be put on a feeding tube, and nobody, and when I said nobody would step up to do it. Nobody would care for her. Nobody would do it at all. I was there by mishap. I had to change a letter in my name that for the government records to prove that I was who I was. And when I came home, she was in the hospital, and they said they needed somebody to be able to work the feeding tube and be able to feed her because she could not eat on her own. And I knew then that the reason why I came back The reason why I flew back into town was not to change that letter in my name, but it was to change the course of the future. It was to take care of my little hero, my princess, my diamond in the rough that was born with so much difficulties, that was poked and prodded over and over again. They did all they could for her. It was time for her to have some sense of peace, some sense of comfort, somebody to hold her while the feeding tube was feeding her, somebody to wipe her mouth, somebody to give her a bath, somebody to sit with her, somebody to talk to her. She needed a hero. She needed somebody willing to stand up in the name of God for her. And as she played with the angels, I knew that that was my destiny. My destiny was not to go to Hawaii. My destiny was not to do my dream job. My destiny was to be there for her until her last breath. And even then, my duty to her was not done. I wasn't just her godfather. I was something much more. She inspired me to continue to write. She inspired me to continue to work harder. She inspired me to uplift those around me. She inspired me to take on the mantra of pay it forward. She inspired me to take on the mantra that you are born with the birthright to be loved. It's not a gift of the popular. She gave birth to alter ego. She gave strength to inner JT. She gave strength to me. She reminded me what was important in life wasn't materialistic things. It was love, compassion, empathy. It was the ability to be able to see that no matter how dark the clouds get, no matter how strong the storm is, we can ride it out with a smile. We can ride it out with some laughter. We can ride it out with some hope. We can ride it out with some faith. All we have to do is dig deep and believe. She created in 9 months a legacy that a man living 90 years old could barely create. She uplifted hearts that were cold to the world, and she made them warm again. See, we've been waiting for so long, thinking that we don't have the power within ourselves to make it through. We beg God to take this burden from us, but we don't understand the blessing of the burden. We don't understand the gift in the pain. We would know not sweet if we did not know sour. We would know not love if we did not know hate. We would not know not cold if we didn't know not hot. Without these opposite things, we would know nothing. Our mind would not be able to expand, to be able to look at life in the dimensions that she wanted us to look at life in. She wanted us to know that even though she was blind, she could see the realm of God plain and clearly. She knew when the angels was in the room because she would begin giggling and laughing and speaking with them. The doctors couldn't tell us why. Nobody could tell us why, but I knew why. She wasn't waiting on anything. We need to stop waiting on Superman and be the hero we are destined to be.